Elder Scrolls 6. You know, the game that a lot of people are no longer interested in because of the disaster of Starfield.
Bethesda is one of the most well-known and closely watched studios in gaming history, and while they've certainly been up and down over the last years, there is a lot of eyes on
Only down. Only down. Bethesda has not done anything of worth in the past how many years? Since Fallout 76 came out, it has been a disaster. People thought Fallout 4 was bad. After Starfield and 76, I can safely put my life on the line and say that Fallout 4 was a unanimous masterpiece, honestly.
them for their next single-player project, The Elder Scrolls 6. First revealed in 2018, there's been little talk about Elder Scrolls 6, but in today's video, we are going to enter the world of Tamriel and talk about
Remember when the hype was high and now people are like, I don't know. Starfield was this bad and, you know, it's on the same engine as Elder Scrolls 6, which means it's 25 years outdated, soon 30 years outdated. Todd Howard is in the lead. Redfall. Oh, I've actually forgot. Redfall, Fallout 76. You know, Fallout 76 was so bad that Bethesda decided, you know what? We're so bad at writing stories because our lead writer is a moron who goes on Twitter spats and pretends that he's Jesus. Well, he doesn't exactly do that, but you know, I mean, he might as well do it, honestly, at this point. Because he is the greatest writer that the world has ever seen, by his own accord. Bruh, you can't make this shit up, okay? And, you know, Fallout 76 didn't even have story, and they didn't even have, you know, NPCs because that's boring or something, I'm not sure. And yeah, well, after all of these disasters, what do you expect from Elder Scrolls 6? It's made by the same people who brought you the greatest Bethesda disasters that have ever been.
everything that we know about Elder Scrolls 6, including the
Oh yeah, the Fallout TV show that's gonna probably be garbage.
location, the overall setting, the design philosophy, some big details regarding what we could expect from the gameplay, the next reveal, and so much more.
You know what we can expect from the gameplay? We can expect from the gameplay that every person is going to have an easy time summoning ethereal weapons that are as good as steel, but jail cells do not account for any chance, idea, or concept that someone could shoot fireballs out of their hands. Yeah. That's what we can await, you know? That's what we're going to get. Oh, and the fact that blacksmiths still exists, armies, it's just crazy shit.
So I know I don't have to tell you this, but it's been a long time since the last Elder Scrolls game. There were a couple spin-off games in the form of Elder Scrolls Blades, Elder Scrolls Castles. Prior to that, we had the MMO developed by ZeniMax, and while that game was very successful, it's not really the kind of game that scratches the...
Elder Scrolls Online, he means. Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online is not successful. It's a shit show. Even people who unironically like the game and still actively play it have absolute... Like, no, Elder Scrolls Online, people who play it actually have a lot of respect for them because most of them are just, yeah, this game is trying to nickel and dime their players for literally, you know, everything possible. It's pretty bad, but I want an Elder Scrolls experience, so here I am playing it because there's technically nothing better around. So, that's it. I actually have some respect for those people because they can just freely come out and say that their game is shit. They have no gripes, no problems with it. And the game is not successful, okay? It's not successful at all. It died on the first day it released, as if I remember correctly, because having only 4 or 5 skills to press is horrible, so there you go.
Same itch as the single-player Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim, which that was the last true Elder Scrolls game, and that launched all the way back in November of 2011, almost 13 years ago. The modding community has obviously done an amazing job at continuing to breathe new life into Skyrim, but as most of you know, they can only stretch things so far.
I mean, there's only so many hot mods you can install.
And the community, needless to say, is eagerly awaiting new single-player content in the Elder Scrolls world. Elder Scrolls 6 was announced with a cinematic teaser back in 2018 alongside Starfield, but while Starfield has actually released, Elder Scrolls 6 remains a mystery in many regards. However, we know Bethesda has the game in full development. At least half of Bethesda game studios are working on Starfield, and I'm sure the rest of them are working on Elder Scrolls 6. Now, the thing that I think a lot of you guys want to know...
Again, Starfield. 4 months later, what do we have? An eat food button, almost, you know, close. An FOV slider that everyone knew that's not going to be in the game, and everyone commented that they want even before the game launched, because this is what Bethesda has done with literally every single game that they have ever made. There is no FOV slider, and then they patch it in a year's time. And there's still no mini maps for cities. Yep. I mean, 4 months later, and there's still no mini maps for cities in Starfield. And that's with 150 developers working on the game. Wow. I mean, good luck, Elder Scrolls 6. You're seriously gonna need a miracle.
Is where is Elder Scrolls 6 going to take place in the universe? Well, if you take a look back on December 31st of 2020, Bethesda actually gave us a little teaser, but the community is still doing their best to kind of decipher what it meant. They tweeted out a map of the province of Skyrim with the caption, "Transcribe the past and map the future," which seemingly was suggesting that Elder Scrolls 6 setting was going to be somewhere on that map. But
what do you mean, province of Skyrim? How does a province of Skyrim even make sense? Skyrim doesn't seem like the type of place that's gonna have well, I guess technically all of the surrounding cities from the capital are provinces, but this being a separate thing doesn't seem like you should call it a province.
a key aspect of the post was the fact that there were 3 candles shining on the map, which many took that as confirmation that it was in reference to Hammerfell, which is right next to one of the candles, and it lines up with what we saw in the brief cinematic teaser all those years ago. Hammerfell is the home of the Red Guards, and from what we know about the geography of that region, it seems to match up with what the cinematic trailer showed. So at this very moment, we can expect it to take place in Hammerfell. Obviously, things could change though, as this game has been in development and pre-production for quite a while. Now, one of the aspects that I think that Elder Scrolls 6 needs to really focus on is more RPG elements than what's been in the last few Bethesda games. Fallout 4 and Fallout 76.
No RPG elements, AK. Literally no RPG elements. That if someone is gonna unironically comment down, but Skyrim had RPG elements, I'm gonna ban you flat out, right? Okay. If you're gonna say that Skyrim even has RPG elements, I will get unironically mad.
Were heavily criticized for
Starfield.
streamlining or just flat out removing many of the RPG elements that were in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Starfield somewhat got things back on track, but it still left a lot to be desired. The RPG mechanics.
Wait, what did he just say?
Somewhat got things back on track, but it still left a lot to be desired. Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Starfield somewhat got things back on track, but it still left a lot to be desired. The RPG mechanics in Starfield were certainly moving things in the right way.
No, they weren't. It was 20 steps backward. There was not a single RPG mechanic. No, I'm not gonna have this discussion. If you want me to go on a 20-minute tangent about how bad Starfield's RPG mechanics is, look at yesterday's Starfield video, okay? I talk about that a lot. How absolutely non-existent the RPG mechanics are there.
Especially whenever you compare it to other Bethesda games that they've made, but it didn't come close to matching what was possible in the older experiences. So I'm hoping Elder Scrolls 6 is a bit more in line with the classical RPG approach.
Is this going to be the classical RPG approach? A guy who doesn't want to be spotted, who clearly has something covering his mouth, looks at the guards, doesn't pay attention to any of his surroundings. Like, look at this.
Well, in the older experiences, so I'm
what do you mean?
Elder Scrolls 6 is a bit more.
Like, are you trying to attract attention to yourself at covering your face, or what exactly is the? Oh, but he's from the Assassin's Guild. He's from the Retard Guild. That's where he is from.
In line with the classical RPG approach. If they want Elder Scrolls 6 to be successful and replayable, they really have to take a page out of what they've done in the past, or maybe borrow some Obsidian Entertainment developers to kind of get things back on track with Elder Scrolls 6. Now, I'm not saying that it has to be on the level of like Baldur's Gate 3, but they should definitely take some notes, because Larian said
it should be on the level of Baldur's Gate 3. They have no excuse to not make a game as great of a story, as great of an RPG and a role-playing game. RPG stands for role-playing game. Whatever, moments. They have no excuses to not make it as great as or greater as Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, I will not accept anything below Baldur's Gate 3. And if someone makes something below Baldur's Gate 3, I'm gonna say that it's bad.
The standard. And with the massive success of Baldur's Gate 3, the excuse that average gamers want things to be dumbed down should be thrown out the window. Now, whenever it comes to the open world for Elder Scrolls 6, one thing that has to be done, and I think it's pretty much confirmed right now, especially after the backlash of Starfield, is that the game world needs to be fully handcrafted instead of the largely procedural. Game world needs to be. I think it's pretty much confirmed has to be done, and I think it's pretty much confirmed right now.
Bro literally has plate mail. That swing is not gonna damage him.
Now, especially after the backlash of Starfield, is that the game world needs to be fully handcrafted.
Oh, he's strong enough to actually clear it. I hate you.
Instead of the largely procedural generated worlds of Starfield. The massive scale for Starfield worked because it was a galaxy adventure instead of a high fantasy world set in a singular region. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a much smaller
game. I was gonna say, they're never gonna to show him throw someone off this game's not gonna even have blood. I can already see it. Elder Scrolls 6 is not even gonna have violent options. It's gonna be like Starfield. Every companion that you find is unique and different. No, they're all actually the same. Do anything evil, they're gonna complain about it.
Because of,
and then you can do a speech check and pass it, and they're gonna be fine again. And then you do it again in another speech check.
That meaning that it's going to be time for Bethesda to give us another handcrafted experience.
Why couldn't she do that previously? Why did she need to be thrown and shattered against the wall if she can just bind the guy?
To give us another handcrafted experience.
You see what I mean? This trailer alone makes no sense. They like why are you fighting him like that if you can just do this and just take him out? Are you stupid? You make something as bad as this, where you can see a guy trying to mask himself by standing out like, I don't know, a red dot on a white surface. It's crazy.
Experience like they did with Skyrim. Now, I'm not saying that the entire world needs to be handcrafted. Obviously, Bethesda has used procedural generation quite a bit, and it's gotten pretty advanced over the years, but it's never going to match up the level of care and immersion possible with something designed by an actual human. And I'm not saying that they can't cut some corners.
I don't even know if I want to see the stuff designed by humans from Bethesda, because the stuff designed by humans from Bethesda was pretty much toddler level
with procedural generation for Elder Scrolls 6, but the majority of the experience needs to be handcrafted. And again, after the controversy regarding the procedural generation of Starfield, I think that they've learned their lesson and they're going to go back to the more handcrafted approach, because honestly, one of the things that Starfield was missing that I got from Skyrim is the sense of exploration and discovery. I could jump on Starfield right now and just walk for miles and see pretty much the same things, similar stuff, but then if I jump on Skyrim, you could just walk out and discover an entire dungeon. And that's the beauty of handcrafted open world games like Skyrim, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring, The Witcher 3, and so many other games, is the ability to walk around and just find something new you've never seen before that leads to like a multi-layered dungeon. Or with the Elden Ring approach, you take an elevator.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Okay? You see what I mean? This is garbage. This is idiotic. Okay, so they're a group of assassins.
The Witcher 3.
They don't have a hiding spot. They don't have anything, right? Their mission is to take these guards out. And watch what they do.
In so many other games is the ability.
They suddenly peek around from the corner and shoot them. You know how stupid that is? Why can't you shoot them from the side where they have no chance of reaction whatsoever? No. It's like trying to say that challenging someone in their face to Mortal Kombat is a stealth assassination tactic.
Ability to walk around and just find.
Okay, so these two guys shoot
something new.
Obviously, these guys were completely blind because they didn't see what's happening in front of them.
You've never seen before. That leads.
And then look at this, another shot
to like a mall
that doesn't even pierce their necks. Like it glances off the armor. Look at that. You can see this doesn't even damage the guy. Doof! I didn't feel that at all. Now I'm dead. If this is Elder Scrolls 6, it's just dead. It's already dead.
Like a mall.
And again, it's like they don't even have 3 people to do this crap. Like, what do you mean?
Multi-layer dungeon. Or with the Elden Ring approach, you take an elevator all the way down to an entirely different world. So for the game world of Elder Scrolls 6 to be done correctly, they have to make.
Wait, so he got stabbed or did he not get stabbed? I'm confused. How did he stab him through plate mail?
Sure that it's a highly detailed, handcrafted.
I guess he got stabbed.
Open world.
But then he takes. Wait. He takes out the sword.
They have to make sure that it's a highly detailed, handcrafted open world. Now,
yeah, it's the same sword. He takes out the sword and there's not even blood? Did he even stab him? I'm confused.
Another one of the core features that we are expected to see with Elder Scrolls 6 is the factions. Those are something that I really want to see cared more for in the Elder Scrolls 6, because having different groups that you can interact with really brings a digital world to life. The way that Bethesda did things with Starfield was really solid. It made it so that you didn't have to pick and choose a faction. But honestly, after playing other Bethesda RPGs like Skyrim and then playing Starfield, I do kind of miss Skyrim's approach, but I also felt like Bethesda's approach with Starfield had some of the best writing that they've done in a while. Bethesda factions often.
I think that's supposed to be a funny one. You got the assassin, you got the mage that doesn't resemble a mage at all and kind of crazy, and then you have the brute guy who just charges down. I think that was supposed to be a haha moment, but I didn't find it funny at all.
And have solid writing and characterization, but the actual way that you interact with them, such as completing missions or impacting their missions, have been rather limited. Other recent RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 and Cyberpunk 2077 have shown just how effective and detailed a faction system can be in an RPG, and I'm hoping Bethesda has been paying attention to that. Again, I think that it can be done in multiple ways. I like Starfield's approach and I like Skyrim's approach, but factions can be done.
But what just even happened there?
System can be in an RPG, and I'm hoping Bethesda has been paying attention to that.
Okay.
Again, I think that it can be done in multiple ways. I like.
Oh, he appears. He kicks him. He kicks him, but he doesn't fall. I'm not sure what happens. He barely touches this guy, and he falls.
Approach.
Then the staff is magically in his hand, even though in the previous scene it wasn't. And now he's struggling to get this guy's staff out of his one hand while he's trying to not fall to his death with the other guy because, you know, reasons. And now this woman is gonna commit friendly fire, it seems like, because obviously. We saw it's a straight path, so she doesn't have any leeway. Essentially, she's just taking out these 2 guys.
Approach. But factions can be done in a better.
Okay. She magically, sure. So he randomly ducks, otherwise it would have been just friendly fire. Got it. You see, when you make something as bad as this, something that's visibly nonsensical, because, okay, a lot of you watched this probably before I paused and didn't think anything that it's nonsensical, but you didn't think it's good. And the reason you didn't think it's good because you didn't try to pay attention, but your subconscious does pay attention, and it puts 2 plus 2 together, and it sees that nothing here makes even a single shred of sense.
Better way. I know a lot of players like me don't want Elder Scrolls 6 to just basically treat its factions as side missions, almost like a side mission dispensary, and instead have them be a major part of the overall story. Now, with such a long wait, when are we actually going to see the Elder Scrolls 6 next? How far are we to the next gameplay trailer or next reveal?
Yeah, Zero Blood.
Personally, I think Bethesda and the greater Xbox is going to focus on Starfield this year whenever it comes to Bethesda RPGs. And it's also been leaked that Xbox is possibly
Oh, it's the baddie!
working on remasters of several older Bethesda RPGs, which is likely a part of the
I have no idea why this is important.
larger effort to re-establish Bethesda as a main player.
This is not Elder Scrolls 6, right? This is just random footage. It's super bad random footage.
The world of big budget RPGs. Bethesda may have some of the best-selling RPGs of all.
Dude, I love this. So here's the big reveal. I'm the baddie. I'm not alone. Here are my assassins. You know, assassins? People who don't like to be seen when they kill, and, you know, here they are, just so you see them. Assassins. Assassins. Kill me.
Bethesda may have some of the best-selling RPGs of all time, but it's been over a decade since they released an RPG that was universally seen as a good game. Starfield had a strong start, and I personally loved the game, but its reputation has been getting worse and worse as time goes on, with a lot of the sentiment being
its reputation was shattered the first day. The only reason it even had people actually liking it on Steam at the start is all the Bethesda. I have said this before. All the Bethesda fanboys, and there's a lot of them, are gonna play Starfield modded. They don't care where the game is actually being sold. They're gonna play on the platform that's gonna get mods first. In this case, it's Steam. So, second one, Starfield comes out, they instantaneously upvote it as the best game they have ever played in the history of ever, and then they just play.
in that Starfield is just unsavable, which I personally disagree with, but I do think that some of the criticisms that Starfield gets are totally valid. Fallout 4 was a solid experience, but I think many gamers agree that Skyrim was their last great Bethesda RPG, and I tend to agree with that. So even though this studio is one of the most famous in the RPG genre, they haven't really proven themselves to be on the same level as other modern RPG developers like CDPR, FromSoft,
Wait, so they won against the baddie?
or Larian Studios. But this studio does have a path to redemption. It's not going to be a Red Dead redemption, but it's definitely going to be a redemption arc, and that's going to be reminding gamers why they fell in love with their games in the first place, which is why we're going to be seeing remasters of older games like Fallout 3 and Oblivion. If those games are going
The Oblivion remaster is going to absolutely just choke on itself, 100% guaranteed. And the Fallout remaster is, well, Fallout 3 remaster is also not going to be great. Because Fallout 3 is a playable game, but it's certainly not the Fallout that people talk about. Honestly, I think Fallout 4 was better than Fallout 3.
to come out over the next couple of years, it will probably be used as a way to hold Bethesda fans over until they're totally ready to show off Elder Scrolls 6. So if I had to guess, we'll get a cinematic trailer for Elder Scrolls 6 at some point in 20.
By the way, the literal evil demon-looking goat man thing that can, probably move across the Z-axis for the... Well, he can move around the Z and Y axis, who cares? He can move around any axis, probably however he wants in his mist form. Didn't just take the advantage and drop a giant rock on top of someone's head. No, he just,
to show off Elder Scrolls 6. So if I had to guess, we'll get a cinematic trailer for Elder Scrolls 6.
And now, because he didn't drop rocks on their heads, he just ran, and now he's gonna fight them.
At some point in
it's great. It's great. If I wanted to have an advantage, I would do exactly the same thing.
2025, maybe 2026, but I'm not expecting this game to actually launch until 2027, 2028, heck, even 2029 at the absolute earliest. We know the game is in development, and there's been at least some work getting done for the last 6 years.
I really wonder what actually is this game, because it seems garbage.
Bethesda has also made it clear that Elder Scrolls 6 didn't go into full speed ahead until after Starfield launch, and even then, over half of the developers are working on Starfield still. Personally, I'm thinking that 2027 or 2028 is the most likely release year for Elder Scrolls 6, which would put it roughly a decade between the game reveal and the game launch.
Yeah, I don't also believe the idea that Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna actually come out next year or whatever. I don't even think GTA is gonna come out next year. But yeah, three years probably I would give for Elder Scrolls 6. So it's totally 20 years in the past graphics wise. It's gonna be great, boys. Anyway, that was our boy West Nemo. 10 out of 10. Bethesda is a way of life, as we clearly all know. This was Quizzer saying thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye bye.